want to be inspired by extraordinary courage and real life stories? Well, you come to the right place. Welcome, everyone, to a good place where truth and integrity meet. Every week, I introduce you to thought provoking and compelling premier educators, politicians, whistleblowers, best-selling authors, journalists, activists, and celebrity. And they all have one thing in common. They are people of truth and integrity, and many are considered modern day heroes. And today, with me, I have my friend and co host from our Monday show, I Heart America, best selling author Donald Jeffries. Who do we have today? The beloved actor with an absolutely illustrious career, the Mr. Ed Asner. Ed Asner is a television legend, the winner of 7 acting Emmy Awards. In all, he has been nominated 20 times for an Emmy Award, with 17 nods for a Primetime Emmy and 3 for a Daytime Award. Asner received 5 of those awards for his portrayal of the grumpy, lovable TV and newspaper editor. The Grant character proved so popular that when the Mary Tyler Show ended in 1977, Lou Grant got his own spin-off series, moving from comedy to drama, winning more Emmys. He has received Emmys for his performance in the miniseries Rich Man, Poor Man and the award-winning film Roots. He earned 5 Golden Globes for his work. In addition, the Screen Actors honored Asner with a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2001. In addition, he narrated the Oscar award-winning animated movie Up. As well as being one of the most outstanding and most respected actors of his generation, Asner has made a name for himself as a trade unionist and a political activist. He served 2 terms as president of the Screen Actors Guild, during which he criticized former SAG President Ronald Reagan, then the president, of a greater concern for the Central American policy. Asner's public persona is that of a crusader and celebrity activist. He has brought entertainment and joy all around the world and is loved by millions. Asner's continued to be active in many humanitarian and political organizations, dividing his time between dramatic acting roles, various political and charitable causes, and project developments with his company, Quince Productions, Inc. And I'm overjoyed at this opportunity to interview you again. So with me, I have Donald, and I know he has the first question for you, but first I just want to say hello.
Hiya.
Hiya. Glad to have you here. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Donald because I know he wants to get into the political side of things.
Yeah, it's a
And
great.
you ought to talk about the Ed Asner Center.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
let's hear about that.
we'll definitely do that. It's a great honor to talk to you, Mr. Asner. I've been active in JFK assassination research since the mid '70s when I worked as a teenager for Mark Lane's Citizens Committee of Inquiry. I've written extensively about it, and I just admire you so much for taking a stand that very few in Hollywood will take, as far as subjects like the JFK assassination and 9/11, especially. What broke you out of like the kind of the safe cocoon of climate change and the issues that almost every celebrity is willing to tackle out there, and going into these areas of real corruption? What I mean, when did you first, for instance, get interested in the JFK assassination?
I don't know. It just grew and grew and grew, and it's now sitting on my back like a 600-pound gorilla, because I see the corruption, I see the crime, the graft, the intolerance, the discrimination, and it's always been there. People just never took the time to stop the train and take a good look. And I only call upon them to take that good look and counter change.
Yeah, and also when you discussed openly your political beliefs, I understand that you were basically blacklisted from Hollywood.
That was at the time that Lou Grant was canceled. Lou Grant was off the show. I think it was primarily due to the owner of CBS, and it lasted a short while. I certainly don't belong in the pantheon of gods who were blacklisted during the McCarthy era. They were truly suffered.
What do you think about basically what I'm concerned about is the civil war that seems to be emerging in America. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a civil war. I think it's us and them, and I guess Armageddon will determine who had the most soldiers. It's calling America. I mean, like Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives hadn't taken place, people would have gone on with the same humdrum discrimination of blacks and colors that we've always had. And it's time we woke up and were shaken and were made to look in the mirror and see and compare ourselves with others who are blacker, who are redder, who are yellower, and say, this is an equal person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We've
Absolutely.
got to wake up. And then it will truly be a beautiful America.
Mm-hmm. You know, I just think the world we live in right now is in an uproar. It's insanity. I mean, I go to bed and I can't even believe we live in this surreal world that is our country.
It's not the real world.
Yeah, it's.
We've been punished with the corona. I must say, it must be a message from God if there is a God.
Mm-hmm. Well, you played God at one point.
Well, I know all the tricks. I know all the
What did you
owe me big time money, honey.
Just to get back to my pet topic, when Oliver Stone I taught a course on Oliver Stone's JFK for years for my adult education.
Did you?
Yeah, and so I know it inside out. Love your portrayal of Guy Bannister. I mean, it's how did Oliver get so many people like you, big stars, to fill those cameos? Was everybody, like, for instance, I've heard that Gary Oldman, who did such a great job as Lee Harvey Oswald, has now claimed he thinks Oswald did it, which I was very disillusioned to hear that.
Gary does?
That's what I heard. I saw a video of him.
Really?
I couldn't believe it. I don't know what he possibly saw that could convince him. But how did you?
I'd have to. I don't know how the hell he could think that.
Yeah,
but,
I don't
he
either.
certainly was in terms of killing Officer Tippit.
Well, when Oliver Stone contacted you? First of all, did you know Oliver Stone before? I mean, were you anxious to work with him?
No, it was like he had been somewhat blacklisted, and
Yes.
It's like he turned to the next guy who was blacklisted. That was me. I don't know. He was. There was a time there where he seemed to be a zany. That was before he sat down to work and created JFK. Once you did the movie, you realized that there was no zany person there. There was a very cold and calculating and impassioned person. And he did it.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for people who are willing to speak out. It's courageous what you did. You had a lot to lose, and you still spoke your personal beliefs. Nah. I think you're everyone's hero on many levels, and you make a lot of people happy still. I'm sure people are listening and just are overjoyed to hear your voice. What do you think about that? Why do you think you're so loved?
Because I'm so handsome.
You are handsome, I have to say. You're a handsome man.
Yeah.
Well, you bridge the gap between the old America, when entertainment was different, and because you were in a lot of westerns, and you played the heavy in a lot of the before Mary Tyler Moore, so you were working with all the old guard that were back then. So that was a completely different America. So what is someone like you who's lived long enough? Because now, I mean, I don't know whether we're evolving or devolving or what we're doing, but we're certainly changing. But America doesn't look any way, even aside from the Civil War prospect, that it did 60 years ago, right? I mean, how do you look at America now as compared to then?
Well, I don't know where we are now, frankly. I don't know what's going to happen, nor do you.
No.
And when we finish going down the spiral, and land, I'd want to take stock, and then I could truly compare now as opposed to then. But we're all in a tizzy here, and we don't know which porthole we're coming out of.
You know, and that's a frightening prospect, to not know what's going to happen here in the future. Everyone's still, really, truly.
Now, you know, I certainly don't hold any brief, but I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that there are only 6. I guess there are actually a total of 13 people who were arrested on the white supremacist idea about kidnapping the governor of Michigan. I'm surprised that there aren't a lot more, with the undecided nature that American people are in right now.
And there's just such a... Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's just this extreme polarity between parties. You have the extreme right, the extreme left. Therefore, I find myself, I'm not comfortable with either side. But, you know, I used to be, I definitely probably still lean left. I think I do believe in social services. I do believe in taking care of our people. I just, if we don't, no one else will. And we're supposed to be the wealthiest and the strongest country in the world, although that's arguable at this point, considering China's positioning.
Yeah, and India.
Yes.
It with good old pal Russia lurking in the background as well.
Controlling a lot of things.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I definitely am left, and I don't think you can, you know, short of communism, I don't think you can go too far left. I think we, as a rich capitalist country, should be far more socialistic. I think we should guarantee people daily wages, free medical care, tuition at college, and then we can go ahead.
I was just going to say, after watching the debate last night, it seems like Kamala and her running mate, of course, are interested in free tuition or free 2-year colleges. So I loved hearing that.
Good. It should
and
happen. And then we can take advantage of all the unbelievable brains we have in this country.
Well, we have so much. We have so much wealth. I don't know if you knew this, Mr. Asner, but and I wrote a book called Survival of the Richest, which documents the rigged system and how the 1% take everything. But if you divided up the trillions of collective wealth in this country, it would come to $344,000 for every man, woman, and child. I mean, that's, just think of that kind of wealth. I mean, it's.
Well, we all know the 1% has.
Yeah.
What, 99% of the money?
I don't want to pick on the 1% that much, but they certainly aren't paying their share.
No, they're not. It's just, what do you think about? Did you get to see the debate last week with Trump and Biden?
Yeah, I watched that spectacle.
I know.
WWE.
I just wanted to throw eggs at the TV. I was really disappointed. You know, not to say that, you know, I'm not completely against Trump, but I'm definitely not for him. And it's just so difficult to watch that transpire, and just to see. I really miss presidents. They were honorable, and I miss the way that presidents handled themselves and the way they spoke to the country. And, you know, I just miss that eloquence that used to exist. And but again, I don't want to criticize him completely. I think
he's a madman. I think he's like a Mississippi card dealer.
Yeah.
And he's trying to pull it from every side of the deck, including the bottom. He knows he's losing, and he'll do anything to stop it, and that's why he's so fearful. Why we should be fearful, because I think he's insane enough to pull any stunt that will keep him in office.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of wanted to go back and circle back to your acting career. What made you decide to want to be an actor? Because I know you have humble roots, basically blue collar, and I know you served for our country. I want people to know that you were patriotic, and you really are patriotic in a way that maybe some people don't understand if they're in that extreme right wing. So you served for your country. You had blue collar beginnings. Did you work in steel? Is that what I read once?
Well,
Steel industry?
I could have gone into my papa's business, which is a lovely business. My biography is called Son of a Junkman, and it's an interesting business. I definitely, if I had not gone into showbiz, would have gone into the junk biz.
Well, that scratches one question off my list.
Yeah. So to prove myself a man, etc., as a young man, the first job when I quit college, embarrassingly so, I went to work at the GM plant in Kansas City and became a spot polisher. And had an evil foreman there, and eventually got transferred to another foreman, thank God, who liked my work well enough. And I stayed there, and then went back to Chicago and said I'd never go back to the auto plants again. I was working at the steel mills as a hooker helper.
That's a funny name.
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing at my title?
Hearing hooker out of your precious self.
I helped the guy who hooked up the big pots to the overhead cranes, big pots of steel. And I was making about $1.30 an hour. And then I had friends who went to work for the auto company, the Ford company. They were making, hi. My kitty cat came up to say hi to me. Hi, baby. Yeah, he wants out badly. But the old coyotes are out there, and we wouldn't think of it.
Yeah,
anyway,
I know.
I went to work. I was making $1.30 an hour, and my friends were making $1.90. And I said, now I'll overcome my prejudice against auto companies. And I went to work at Ford, and it was a unionized plant.
Yes.
Which the plant in Kansas City was not. And that made me a confirmed union man forever. And I guess really pushed my liberal leanings further left.
Just looking out for people. That, I guess that's the first time you found yourself as an activist and someone who spoke out against injustices. So then you just decided, well, I'm not making enough money, so I'm going to try acting.
No, it was just love of acting that made it possible. I loved getting it off my chest. I'm big-chested, as if you hadn't noticed.
And then how did you end up on the Mary Tyler Moore Show?
Well, Ethel Wynand was the vice president in charge of talent at CBS, and Grant Tinker was working at 20th at the time, and I made a movie where I played a buffoonish police chief called, I forget the name of it. But so when Ethel Wynand suggested my auditioning, as Lou Grant, to Ellen Burns and Jim Brooks. Grant suggested that they try me, and so they asked Ethel, could I do comedy, and she, without even knowing what she's talking about, said Ed Asner can do anything. So they called
She
me
believed
in
in you.
Huh?
She believed in you.
Yeah. They called me in and I read, and badly, and I took their instructions and I changed my reading. They said, do it just that way when you come back to read with Mary. I came back up about 10 days later, trying to remember what I had done. And they laughed again. A couple of years later, after I'd had the job, I heard the story that when I left the room, having read with Mary, that she then turned to the producers and said, are you sure? So, I realized I was a pretty goddamn wacky as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how was it? Do you have any great stories from there, Charlie Moore? Any juicy tidbits working with that cast?
I
Or
saw
what
her
was your
picking her
favorite
nose one day.
experience?
Did what?
Well, that's pretty good. And then what was your favorite point in your acting career? What brought you the most joy and complacency?
What was say that again?
What was your favorite point in your acting career? And that's somewhat a general question. So
Well,
to give
that was
you
a trip down. That was the trip down Happiness Lane. That was a trip to Disneyland. We had a wonderful cast. We had great writers. Jay Sanders is our director, and he was a goodie. So there was nothing that could go wrong with the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Mm-hmm.
Being graduated to my own show as Lou Grant, I must say that it was not as much fun because we didn't have audience laughs.
Right.
With
I
comedy, you
understand.
can get the laughs and know you're doing well. When you're doing a drama show, it's not as much fun.
Do you
That
still
makes
keep
sense.
do you still keep in contact with any of the cast, Betty White or any of them?
The ones who are living?
I hope so.
Well, Gavin, Betty, and Cloris are the only ones still alive, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Kate, and then I wanted to ask you about your organization because you've worked with so many charities and you have such a concern for humanity. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
What do you want to know?
Well, what does it do? How can people maybe get involved? And I'd just like to hear more about this particular organization.
You mean the Ed Asner?
Ed Asner House, right?
Yes.
Center for Families, and well, it's beautifully designed. It's created by my son and his wife Nava, my son Matthew, and it's designed to ease the pains of autism parents and siblings, and to provide classes for the autists themselves. Instead of artists, we deal with autists.
Aw, I had a foster child who was autistic, and there's sometimes you find that brilliant piece in them. It's such an interesting thing, and they're just most of the time, the ones I've worked with had just soft, beautiful innocence in them, and I just really enjoyed that work.
Yeah. They are unmined gold. And it's up to us to bring out that gold.
You're right. It's up to us, and it's in there. And when you find that, their self-esteem just rises, and that helps deal with some of the anxiety they have. We just have a few more seconds, and then we come back from the break. We'll just ask you one more question and let you go, because I know you even have another interview later.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see here. We have just a few more minutes. Yeah, because I want to let this be a platform, of course, to what is important right now.
Yeah, we're actually down there. We're actually, the music's coming up now.
We'll be right back, everyone. Hold on. Everybody, I'm here with the Mr. Ed Asner. We just have one final question. What is important to you right now? What would you like to say to the American people, or the global people for that matter, because this is a global show? We'd like to hear what's on your mind, Ed.
Well, I think that we have to show the world that we are united with them against the virus. We have to figure out how to not make the same mistakes we made with the virus this time. I think we blame the president for a lot of that. Mm-hmm. We were disorganized. And in his position of power, he was able to deny certain scientists opportunities that they might otherwise have relished and enjoyed and employed. Mm-hmm. I think if we can create that unity, we might really have one world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, usually when there's some kind of peace, there's just chaos and in this war feeling, just the animosity, and it's kind of risen to the top now. So hopefully now that we can just kind of scrape it off with a butter knife and come back to like a more peaceful place. I just want to say thank you so much. We love you, Ed, and enjoy the rest of your day, and appreciate this interview very much. And I'll go ahead and disconnect you.
Thank you, Mr. Asner. It was wonderful talking to you.